Today we look at Gene 26.5 from Genesis AI, unveiled in May 2026 and billed as the first foundation model giving robots human-level physical manipulation. Paired with a human-scale dexterous hand, it demonstrated a 20-step meal, an in-air Rubik's Cube solve, and piano playing. Genesis raised a $105 million seed round from Eclipse, Khosla, and backers including Schmidt and Daniela. In the next few minutes, we cover what Gene 26.5 is, the glove that trained it, and why it matters. Let us start with the core idea behind Gene 26.5 Dexterity. Here are the essentials of Gene 26.5 Dexterity in plain language, what it is and why it was introduced. Gene 26.5, unveiled by Genesis AI in May 2026, is billed as the first foundation model giving robots human-level physical manipulation. It pairs with a human-scale dexterous hand per POS built to transfer human skills directly to robots. Genesis demonstrated Gene 26.5 driving a human-scale hand through a 20-step meal, an in-air Rubik's Cube solve, and piano playing. Reported demos also include smoothie prep, lab pipetting, and multi-object grasping with one hand. The key data engine is a sensor-equipped glove mapping 1:1 between the human hand, the glove, and the robot hand. Genesis says it costs roughly 100 times less than typical alternatives while collecting up to 5 times more usable training data. Genesis also launched Genesis World 1.0, a photorealistic simulation platform. The company reports it cuts robot evaluation from days down to minutes, letting teams test manipulation skills in simulation before deploying to physical hardware. Now, let's look at why Gene 26.5 Dexterity matters in practice. Here is where Gene 26.5 Dexterity shows up in real products, teams, and decisions. Because the glove reportedly costs around 100 times less than typical alternatives, teams can gather manipulation data at scale without expensive teleoperation rigs. We see this as a path to far larger, cheaper robotics training datasets. Genesis says the glove collects up to 5 times more usable training data per session. More usable demonstrations mean Gene 26.5 can learn long-horizon tasks, like the 20-step meal, with less manual cleanup and re-recording. With Genesis World 1.0 reportedly compressing evaluation from days to minutes, teams can iterate far faster. We can validate a manipulation policy in photorealistic simulation before committing it to a physical robot hand. The $105 million seed from Eclipse, Khosla, Schmidt, and Daniela funds a full-stack play. Coverage positions Genesis alongside Figure and 1X, signaling that dexterous manipulation is now a well-capitalized race. Let us recap the key takeaways on Gene 26.5 Dexterity and what to do next. Gene 26.5, unveiled by Genesis AI in May 2026, is positioned as the first foundation model for human-level robot manipulation, paired with a human-scale dexterous hand. The model demonstrated a 20-step meal, an in-air Rubik's Cube solve, and piano playing, showcasing long-horizon, fine motor tasks long considered hard for robots. A sensor glove mapping 1:1 from human to robot hand reportedly cost around 100 times less than alternatives while collecting up to 5 times more usable training data. Genesis World 1.0 reportedly cuts evaluation from days to minutes, and a $105 million seed from Eclipse, Khosla, Schmidt, and Daniela funds the full stack. That is Gene 26.5, a manipulation foundation model trained on cheap glove data, demonstrated with a 20-step meal, a mid-air Rubik's Cube solve, and piano, and backed by a $105 million seed round. If this was useful, subscribe so you catch our next AI breakdown. For more information, visit Standarity.com. See you in the next video.